All right, let's take another look at another free agent offensive lineman that the Dolphins could consider for 2025. And we're going to look at Josh Jones. And this is a guy that's going to be 28 years old when next season comes around. He did play with the Ravens in 2024, but the picture I have up of him is from the Cardinals because that's probably how most people remember him. He was a third round pick of the Cardinals in 2020. He didn't start any games that season. In 2021, he started 12 out of 17 games that he played in. In 2022, he played in or started in 9 out of the 17 games he played in. And then in 2023, he was packaged with a 7th round pick and traded to the Texans for a 5th round pick. With the Texans, he started 3 out of 13 games that he played in. Had a hand injury that took him out of the starting lineup and never seemed to make it back in. And then last year with the Ravens, he didn't start any games. He played in all of them. And he was there on a 1-year vet minimum. As we get over here to the film portion of Josh Jones, like we've talked about before, as we're looking at the film here, we're going to start out looking at short yardage run plays. I feel you can get a lot out of those. And then, we'll continue to do some other stuff after that. But, just to kind of set the table, these are going to be short yardage, 1 to 2 yard to go runs. And Josh Jones, a lot of times with the Ravens, was used as an extra offensive lineman. So we're going to have to find him each snap. On this one, he is they got him at left tackle against the Giants here. All right. And we're getting a little bit of duo action here. And this is going to be Jones solo blocking out here on the defensive end, and solid job here of just getting that inside position and holding him to the outside. Next play here, so now he's in as a extra lineman, as a tight end on the left side. And we're getting some outside zone action. And, in that outside zone, it's going to be basically a combo block between Jones and Ronnie Stanley climbing up to the linebacker here. You can see they do a solid job of creating movement on that edge player before Stanley tries to climb up. Most of that movement being created by Jones. So good rep here when we're looking at outside zone stuff. Again, extra lineman on the left side. And now we're getting some basically counter or power action. And in this case, the expectation here would be that everybody is blocking down. And then we're going to get Ricard kicking out, and ideally the path would open up on the outside of Jones here, right? Kicking out the edge. Want to wash everything else down. Good job with that inside step by Jones. Either should have let that guy go to become the kick out guy, or done a little better job with his positioning there. I'm not sure which way they're coached for that to go based on where that defender is on that down block step, but either way, not the greatest of position there for Jones on that play. Next one got him coming out again, extra lineman on the left side, right? Pretty much the same play here. And you can see that again, right? They're all stepping down, and this time you can see that Jones does a better job of not trying to chase that guy, right? Jones is responsible for everything between him and Ronnie Stanley essentially on these down blocks. That edge player decides to stay to the outside, so he becomes the kick out man. And basically Jones is to continue to the next level, right? Again, not going to chase him to the backside, continue down, and kind of gets caught up there. But I would say this was an improvement over the last rep that we saw in the big picture. Again, extra lineman out here. And we're getting same play again. The Ravens obviously really like this play in short yardage situations. And again, right, blocking down, you know, taking care of this inside gap first before he climbs, making sure that Stanley has that secured. Maybe could have been a little earlier in that. That's a experience and rep thing, knowing when Stanley really has that control, right, and then being able to just slow down and wall that off. So he gets the right guy, just maybe a half a step late there, where we'd rather see that wall develop here, where Ricard kicks out this end guy, and then your guard coming around would get number 23, and you can see how that ideally would play out. And then last short yardage one here for Josh Jones. Now he's at left tackle, and this is going to be inside zone to the left. And you can see that, a little confusion on the combo block with the left guard there. Or maybe not confusion, right? He starts out, he ultimately wants to end up at 45, right? So he starts out as if he's going to help Jones, but Jones gets that, outside, he's inside position to wall that defender to the outside early, and the guard can climb. So good rep there by Jones on an inside zone. So that's it for the short yardage plays for Jones. Now we're getting into the 3 to 6 yard range. So a little more neutral, not necessarily looking as much short yardage. And we see the favorite play that we've seen from the Ravens, this power where they're kicking out with Ricard and pulling the left guard around. So again, stepping down, can see that Stanley has that block. So now he's continuing to that next backer, right? We're kicking out the end. You got the guard coming around for the front side backer. Jones is attaching to that next level backer and gets him in enough space that it creates an opportunity for Derrick Henry to make the read off of that. Right tackle now. So now we're getting some pin and pull action here. So, right, all he's got to do here is to keep this defender to the inside, because we got right guard, center, are pulling outside. Left guard looks like he's pulling, but it's more of a cut off to try to cut off that nose who's going with that. But from Jones's perspective, good job here on pin and pull of just sealing number 90 to the inside and letting everything else develop outside of that. Left tackle here for Jones. Now we're getting outside zone to the left, right? And decent job here of, getting good position off the snap on the cutoff block, right? You got that 3 technique defensive tackle in here. Off the ball quickly, left arm into the chest, and you can see that, we get to a point that he starts to try to wheel around, and that's something we've talked about before, trying to get those hips around and set the anchor, but he doesn't get there. So you can just see, the attempt at the vertical push with that left hand. So not a stellar block here by any means, but you can appreciate the understanding of the technique that we want to see on the backside of these outside zones. Now back to an extra lineman on the left side here. And big surprise what they're running, right? Trying to get out of some trouble here. Everybody's stepping down, right? Good job here by Jones. You can see, as we talked about, right? This power play is creating that wall. So, like we talked about earlier, Jones has everything between him and Stanley as they're stepping down. And you can see that this defensive tackle slants outside. Jones catches him and then, creates a ton of movement there on that play. Left tackle, outside zone to the left. Okay job here. Doesn't really give a clear read. You can see that he's trying to get to the outside there. but doesn't fully get a good outside position for the back to read it. And you can see the guard really doesn't read it that way either. If he had gotten all the way over right away, then the guard would try to take over that block, and Jones would climb to the linebacker. But because we're in more of a neutral position here, right, this guard is going to try to spill it over to the outside, which is what we get. And then he climbs to the linebacker, and the backside guard is not able to get to his linebacker, which is what causes the bounce despite the front side reads. But good job by Jones here of trying to get that outside position, but even when he can't get that, right, using the leverage from the combo block to block that defender to the outside, despite what the running back ends up having to do. Over here on the right side is an extra lineman. And now we get that power play to the right. Same thing we've seen. Same idea there. Little confusion on how that combo block works between the right tackle and Jones. Same thing we've seen before, right? They're stepping down, no immediate threat to the inside here, so they can combo this more so, right? But Jones is trying to spill that defender over before he climbs to that second linebacker, and you can see that the tackle kind of falls off that as well. But from Jones' perspective, maybe could have gotten a little more of the defender versus the offensive lineman, but you can certainly see the right idea on this rep. Over here, extra lineman on the right side again. Surprise, surprise. Can see little better job on this one. Doesn't get as much of the right tackle as he's blocking down here, right? Gets a little more of the defender as he's going. And you can see, he does a good job of knocking him off balance before he climbs up to that linebacker. So solid rep there. And then as we continue, so this is going to be the last film play that we're going to look at. Right, and now we're getting that same play to the left, that same power play, but Jones is on the backside here. And you can see, just a pretty solid job of getting that cutoff block, getting his hips around, sinking and sealing there. All right, so that's going to wrap up the film portion for Josh Jones. And as you can see, it looked good with the Ravens. Really made me question, what am I missing with this guy? So I went back and looked at the Texans tape where he was playing tackle, and there was a lot of good stuff. There was definitely some ugly reps, but there was a lot of stuff to be encouraged about. I went back and looked at his history. So he's bounced between the left and the right side. He was a guard at times with the Cardinals. He was a tackle with the Texans, an extra offensive lineman with the Ravens. We go back and look at the coaching that he's received. So he went to college at Houston, which is the same school that Patrick Paul went to. And, I think that it's pretty well agreed upon that, there was a lack of development from Paul at Houston, right? And I think we see that with Jones as well. I don't think that the offensive line coaching with the Cardinals at that time was great. And, I've talked about in previous videos the issues that had been expressed in the media with the Texans offensive line coaching. I kind of wonder whether this is a similar situation to an Austin Jackson, where he's been bounced around between positions, hasn't had great coaching, and then finally found a good fit in terms of coaching and guys that know how to use him in the Ravens. This obviously isn't a guy that I would say that we should go out and, spend big money on, right? Not even a Austin Jackson level contract, but this is a guy who possesses a lot of the skills that make sense in the schemes that we're trying to run. I think he's a guy that still has a lot of untapped potential. Why he's bounced around. It was the last year of his rookie contract when he got traded, and they were going through a coaching staff change there. and then his contract expired. He went to the Ravens. So even though he's played with 3 teams, I can't lock in and say that it's something that he's done. Most of the time when you get guys in free agency, they have either they're old or they have a significant injury history or they've been just really bad. And Jones really doesn't fit into any of that, in my opinion. I think this is a great opportunity for the Dolphins. This is certainly a player that I would look at as somebody to try to get him in the doors with the floor being a swing tackle and potentially having him compete for a starting position, whether it be at guards or whether you kind of have an open competition between him and Austin Jackson at tackle, with the loser bumping into guard. Overall, this is a player that I really like, and I would be excited if the Dolphins bring him in free agency.